Hello you guys, welcome to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Emily and I post a ton of bookish content, and if you are not new here, welcome back, happy to have you. So for today's video, I don't really know why, I just really wanted to record in the car, so that's why we're here. It's such a nice day out, and what I'm going to be talking to you guys about today is my mid-year GoodReads stats. So I already have like a whole blog post about this, but I wanted to just kind of go through that with you guys on here and let you guys know where I am at with my reading goals. Sorry guys, I felt the need to change my angle here. So basically the most I'm going to be talking about is how many books I've read, how many pages I've read, all of the different genres and how many in each that I've read, the ethnicities of all the authors I've read, and the shortest and longest book I've read. And then from there, I also think on here, I didn't do it in the blog post, but I want to tell you guys how many books so far this year I have rated 5-star, how many I've rated 4, 3, 2, etc. So that is what this video is going to be. I hope you guys enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe down below if you are interested in continuing to watch my channel. And without further ado, let's just get into these GoodReads stats. So, I made a reading challenge on GoodReads of 30 books for this year because last year I read 25 books, and so far we're only halfway through the year and I have read 22 books. I am nearly done the 23rd as well. So, I have a feeling I'm probably going to be able to make it up to maybe even 40 books this year, but we shall see. I am going to keep it at 30 just because I don't want to overdo it. I don't want to add stress to my reading goal or anything like that. It just doesn't really make sense to me. So 30, if I overexceed, great. If I don't, 30 is perfect. For genres of books that I've read, I know that I am going to read it on my phone because it's hard to remember off by heart. Out of the 22 books that I've read, 7 have been romance, 5 have been thriller, 1 has been a classic, 3 have been fantasy, 4 have been general fiction or contemporary fiction, 1 has been nonfiction, and 1 has been horror. So I would definitely say that's a very great, diverse group of genres, if you will. And on top of that too, I am pleasantly surprised with a lot of them. I honestly never thought I would be the one to read fantasy, but the 3 fantasies that I've read have been pretty great, and I'm excited to continue to read more fantasy, more contemporary, even more classics. Like, I don't know if they're really my thing, but I want to give it a shot. So yeah, those are all of the genres and how many of each that I've read so far this year. So the next question is, what is the longest book I've read and the shortest book I've read? The longest book I've read so far this year has been Akamath, A Court of Mist and Fury at 626 pages, and my shortest book of the year so far has been my classic, which was The Great Gatsby, at 144 pages. So the next question is, what genders and ethnicities have I read this year so far? And this is definitely the one part of my reading goals that I want to improve on over time, because while I don't think you need to fully pay attention to the gender and ethnicity and all that good stuff of the genres you're reading all the time, I do think it's important to make sure that you're supporting as many people from all over the world and supporting so many talented authors that maybe don't get recognized as much because of like trends or whatever. I definitely need to work on this. You'll be able to tell really clearly by my list here, but nonetheless, I am still proud of this because honestly, I feel like at the beginning of last year even, I was strictly reading books only by white authors, and that was not on purpose. It just so happened to be that way because, unfortunately, like I said, a lot of really trendy authors are white females or males, and it's in my brain. I am very aware of it, and I want to ensure that I'm hopefully going to be reading more from different ethnicities as well as more from the LGBTQ community, because that is also obviously so important. So please don't come at me for this list, you guys. As I said, I know I'm a work in progress and I really do want to improve on this, but my list so far for my genders and ethnicities is 18 books from white female authors. That's already a humongous chunk of what I've read. As I said, I've read 22 books. 1 book from an Asian female author, 1 book from a black female author, and then 2 books from a white male author. So I am disappointed in this list, obviously, but I am hoping to improve it throughout the second half of 2022 and beyond. Wishful thinking, you guys. I know I definitely have, like, I have purchased like, I haven't even read 50% of what I have on my shelf, and I know there are a ton of books on there from so many different ethnicities that I am so excited to read. So just keep that in mind with this list. So that is the last question for this video, but like I said, I did want to bring up all of the books that I've read this year. I want to just pop them on the screen so you guys can see the list of my mid-year 2022, because I am very happy with the list, and I'm gonna let you guys know as well what I rated them. So we're gonna start from the very beginning of 2022, and this is the order that I've read all my books in, so you guys will be able to see them all. So first one I read in 2022 was A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I rated this book a 3 out of 5 star, strictly because it was very new for me. I think maybe now I would rate it a 3.5 or a 4, because I like fantasy a lot, but in the moment it was a 3. The next book I attempted to read but did not rate is False Witness. I like to include it because I did read almost 60% of it, but I did DNF it. I think it probably, like, if it didn't make me as uncomfortable as it did, it maybe would have been like a 4 star for me. Alas, it was a DNF, so I did not rate it. The next book I read was The Finish Line in the Ravenhood series. So good. I rated it a 4 out of 5. The next one is What Moves the Dead by T. King Fisher, and I rated this one again, 3 out of 5. It was my first horror novella, and so I wasn't really used to the writing, I guess you could say, and like how short the story was, so I think that's why I rated it so low, but it was very, very excellent with regards to writing and the uniqueness of the story. Next two up, we have some Colleen Hoover. I read back-to-back Ugly Love, which was a 5 out of 5, and It Ends With Us, which again was a 5 out of 5. Then the next book was actually my nonfiction of the year that I've read so far, which was What White People Can Do Next, From Allyship to Coalition by Emma DeBerry. And this is a nonfiction, so I did feel a little uncomfortable rating it. It's nonfiction, and it's something that I think we all need to learn, so let's change it to a 5 out of 5. I went back to my roots with another Colleen Hoover, and that was Reminders of Him. So good, 5 out of 5. One of my favorite books from her. The next one I read was My Lovely Wife by Samantha Downing. 3 out of 5 stars. This one was kind of a disappointment for me, honestly. The next one was so good. It was No Exit by Taylor Adams, and I gave this a 5 out of 5. The movie was god-awful, but the book was chef's kiss. The next one is probably my all-time favorite book of the year so far, and that is Delilah Green Doesn't Care. Rated it a 5 out of 5. Would rate it way higher if I could. Then I went into my longest book of the year, and that was, like I said, A Court of Mist and Fury at 626 pages, and I rated this one a 4 out of 5 because I think it was a little bit better than the first book in the series. I did enjoy both, but Akamath just had so much information built in, and I think that it was the most important book for this series. So I do plan on reading the next one in a couple months, which is A Court of Wings and Ruin. The next book that I read was The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, which is one that I've been really wanting to read for so long, and I put 3 stars on GoodReads, but I definitely wanted to rate it a 3.5 out of 5. It surprised me, honestly. I enjoyed it more than I thought. It wasn't boring. I think it was actually beautiful. The next book on the list was Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren, and I rated this one a 4 out of 5. It didn't really meet like my 5 out of 5 expectations, but it was definitely like in between 4 and 5 for me. I really enjoyed it. Aside from parts of the ending were a little weird for me, I don't know, a little triggering. There's definitely trigger warnings in this book, so definitely look those up. The next one was probably one of my biggest disappointments of the year so far, aside from My Lovely Wife, and that was One Italian Summer by Rebecca Searle. I love Rebecca, but I did rate this book like a 2.75. I rated it a 3 on GoodReads, but it just did not meet my expectation. The next book that I read is The Push by Ashley Audrain. I did rate this one a 3.5 out of 5. It was really close to being a 4 out of 5, except the ending was just like kind of disappointing for me. Next up we have Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I adored this book. It was so cute. It was the perfect timing for me to read it. She timed the publication of this book so well. I rated it a 4 out of 5, and I would highly recommend it. Next up we have my classic, which was The Great Gatsby, also my shortest book of the year, and I rated this one a 3 out of 5. I really liked the movie, but the book was kind of for me. We are approaching the end here, you guys. The next book I read was The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose, and oh my god. This was my best thriller of the whole year. Such a good book. I was shaking by the end. Like, the plot twist was just insane. So that one was a 5 out of 5 for me. The next one was also a 5 out of 5 for me, and that was Set on You by Amy Lee. This was her debut romance, and it was so so freaking good. It's a weightlifting romance, so if you are someone who really likes going to the gym, feeling confident, and also just enjoys like genuine connections in books, you'd really like this one. The next one I read was It's Been a Pleasure, Noni Blake, and this one really took me by surprise. My friend recommended it to me and I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did, but I rated it a 4 out of 5. I think it had a really great life lesson there, and I think that a lot of people should be reading this. I read it at the right time too. I think it just made me feel like I need to do more for myself and just take care of myself. So definitely recommend It's Been a Pleasure, Noni Blake. And the last book is Normal People by Sally Rooney. Again, I rated this one 4 out of 5. I did really enjoy it, and I am a firm believer that this will be a classic one day. I am currently watching the show too, and it's so similar to the book. I love it. For the most part, I would recommend a lot of the books I've read this year. I think the only two that I wouldn't recommend is My Lovely Wife and, oh my god, what's it called? Oh, One Italian Summer. Those are the only two that I was just like, dang. They just disappointed me, you know? Those are all the books that I've read and all of my GoodReads stats for 2022 so far. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to like and subscribe. Do not forget to also hit that notification bell if you want to make sure that you're seeing all the videos that I post. I post one video every week on Friday. I will see you guys in my next one. See ya!